Today, I'm going to tell you 7 etiquette tips you need to know before leaving the house. Hi, how are you? I'm Juliana Santiago and welcome to the Etiquette and Protocol channel. I'm a consultant specialized in etiquette, and in today's video we're going to talk a little more about what you should know about etiquette, even before you think about leaving the house. So when you step outside, what are the behaviors and attitudes you should pay attention to? That will actually help you be a more polite person. Remember, being someone with etiquette doesn't make you a snob. Having etiquette means having good behavior. And who doesn't want to behave better, right? Being a kinder, more generous, more polite person who respects others more and has more empathy. All of this is related to having etiquette. So etiquette is kind of like that. A guide to help us achieve this good behavior, these good manners. So if you want to understand, grab some paper, grab a pen, so you can keep this on your radar the next time you leave the house. The first point is to think about your mood. Especially in social situations, you can choose whether or not to be present. If you're invited to a party, do you really want to be at that party? Do you actually want to be there? Connecting with those people, talking to those who are present. Really, how is your social battery? Because if your social battery isn't at least halfway full, there's no point in leaving the house. If you're not having a good day, if you're not feeling well, if you're not in a good mood, to be there interacting and socializing with those people, it doesn't make any sense for you to go to that party, to that event, to that barbecue, to that gathering. So like you don't feel like going, just don't go. If you're not willing to connect with people, don't go. So it's interesting for you to think about all of this before you think about leaving the house. And I know that in the work environment, you might question me, for example, Juliana, there's no way. I don't like my coworkers. I'm completely out of patience with them. I don't like going to my company's events. What can you choose to be present for? If you have that option, then make the choice that is most aligned with your goals. For example, if you want to stay at the company, it's a good idea to take part in everything the company promotes. But if you don't want to be there anymore, then it doesn't make sense. You're not in the mood, you're not willing to be there, so it's better for you to choose not to be present. Now, it's important for us to understand that in a professional environment, many times we do have to know how to deal with situations where we don't feel comfortable, where we don't feel good, and with people we don't like. So, trying to work more on better interactions will help you a lot to avoid going through this kind of situation. And remember, if you are in a company, in a professional situation, and you are not happy with the routine or with the people you interact with, especially because etiquette has a lot to do with respect between people, with coexistence, and with how you behave toward others. Look for ways at the same time to get out of that situation. Start looking for a new job, making connections that can help you get out of this situation. When you go into an environment, you need to be in a good mood. You need to be willing. In a social setting, you can choose, but in a professional one, not so much. So it's important to remember that, yes, it's good for you to do your best when it comes to your mood and your social energy. Interact with people there. It will help you a lot, right? If you're in your professional environment and you get along better with people, you can stand out. People remember you more, you can work more on your personal brand, and people hire you more. And in social situations, right? With your friends, with your family, people remember you more. They invite you to events more often. You will be present with a more active social life. So it's interesting to notice that. Let's move on to the next point, okay? Think about your clothing choices and also your hygiene. Juliana Santiago, but what does clothing have to do with etiquette, with behavior, everything? For example, you wouldn't go downstairs to get an iFood delivery at your building's front desk in pajamas, right? Many people have this habit, but it's not the best way. No, If you're going downstairs to pick up an iFood delivery or a package, you should have fresh breath. All of this is about being appropriate. You don't need to be super made up, wearing really fancy clothes, or be all dressed up to apply, just to pick up an iFood order or a package at your building's front desk. But there are some points that are interesting for us to notice. For example, are you wearing shoes? Are you dressed appropriately? It can be home clothes, but they should be appropriate. Is it see-through? Is it too short? Do you smell nice? Is your breath fresh? I know this might seem very simple, but it's just a simple encounter you have there in your building's elevator. This can create endless opportunities for you both personally and professionally. I really like to talk about the professional side because I feel that when I talk about etiquette as a tool for you to make more money, people start paying more attention to what I say. So you're there in your building. You have a neighbor who could be a potential client for you, a relationship you can develop there, and it could be positive for you. Isn't it interesting that people see you in a completely relaxed situation there, right? You don't need to be super dressed up, but being at least minimally presentable will make all the difference. So we need to pay attention to that, okay? And this will happen in various situations, even when you're just going downstairs in your building, like I mentioned earlier. Even when you go to a party, for example, if you're going to a barbecue, would you wear a long formal dress, like for a wedding? No? You wear flats, more comfortable sandals, clothes that are more appropriate for that kind of situation. Just like you wouldn't go to a wedding wearing the same clothes you'd wear to a barbecue. It's all about appropriateness. And hygiene is important. Yes, we need to pay attention to our breath and our hair. If it's really dirty, you might try to hide it by tying it up, but can you? No, you can't. Let me see what I'm going to do. So it's interesting to think about that too. My beard, it's really long. Wouldn't it be a good idea for me to shave my beard to go to this event, to go to this place? Everything will make a difference. And people will see you in a much more positive way if you pay attention to how you present yourself. Another point that also makes a big difference is looking people in the eye. I know it may seem very simple, but how many times have we talked to people and they don't actually look us in the eye? They don't look at us. They don't really see us. So you talk to the person and they're looking to the side the whole time, messing with their phone, talking to you while watching what someone else is doing. So be very careful if you have the habit of talking to people without actually looking at them. Of course, you're not going to stay like this the whole time, focused and staring at the person the entire time. No, that can even be negative for you, and you might come across as if you want to intimidate the person. But it is important, yes, to maintain eye contact. Look at the person's face so that they feel you are paying attention to what they say, to what they are talking about. This will really change the way people perceive you in front of them. Another point is to greet everyone. So when you leave the house, if you meet someone in the elevator, meet someone on the street, meet someone you know at the supermarket, you meet them, it's nice to greet the person and establish a good relationship. Even if you choose to just say hi, make eye contact and smile at the person. Try to create some charisma because that makes a big difference for people to like you. Try to create some as well. There's a lot of talk about generating charisma, but charisma is something that can be completely trained. We need to bring charisma skills into our daily lives. Smiling and looking at people is something very simple, but it makes all the difference and helps us a lot, even in lighter communication, so that people also have a more caring look when they observe us and remember us too. Another point is also having good posture. So when you are standing, when you are sitting, how do you behave? All this nonverbal communication will indeed make people observe and form perceptions about you. So if you're willing to leave the house, let's open up our chests. Chin always parallel to the ground. Walking too fast isn't ideal because it can give the impression that you're someone who's always in a rush, very anxious, and that's very negative for you. In fact, speaking from personal experience, I myself have received this kind of feedback. I was 18 or 19 when I began my internship and got this feedback. People said that I walked too fast. And in my mind, at that time, I had the perception that if I walked faster, I was being like that. Proactive in the work environment, showing proactivity to the people who worked with me. But actually, the opposite happened. They had a completely opposite perception from what I wanted to project to them in that environment. And it was at that moment that I understood I needed to be a bit more subtle in my movements there, that this would help a lot. Of course, this is a process. You see me here talking about various things, making points. Often you might say, Juliana, I really wanted to be a person with better behavior, with a better attitude, and what can I do? How can I actually achieve that? Sometimes I remember to have good postures, sometimes I forget. And that's natural, okay? It's something you'll improve over time and apply day by day. Just like you got better at washing your hair, just like you got better at brushing your teeth. Because when you were a child, you didn't know how, but you got better at the skill of tying your shoes. You will be able to improve, but one thing that will help you progress much faster is having contact with updated etiquette patterns and rules that are modern and that are also part of the modern environment, meeting the needs we have in our daily lives. And if you want a complete tutorial, I invite you to join my Etiquette and Good Manners training. The link is here in the description, and you can also point your phone at the QR code that's right here next to me. If you haven't taken any training at our school yet, by clicking the link here, you'll already get access to a super special promotion. With the link below, you already get a super special discount, okay? You don't need to apply a coupon. You don't need to do anything. Just click the link that's here. And then by watching the course and applying these habits day by day, you will definitely be able to become a person with much more appropriate behavior and attitude. Another point, which is something you need to know before leaving home, is to respect other people's space. So, for example, cutting in line. Is that going to be polite? Is it going to be elegant? Is it part of etiquette? Of course not. For example, you step in front of someone. The person is getting into the elevator, and you just go ahead and step in front of them like that. Because you realize the elevator is full, and if you don't get in, there won't be any space for you. So be careful, that's not polite. And these are habits that we see in our daily lives as something normal, but they really harm the way we build our image in a very simple and instant way. Another interesting point is not to walk in front of people. For example, cutting in line isn't considered elegant. Getting in the priority line when you're not actually a priority is also something to note. Parking in a spot reserved for the elderly or pregnant women when you're not in that situation. Taking someone else's place is not polite. And it's also important, continuing on, to respect other people's space. Empathy for others is essential for living together in society. You're going to park in a parking lot, even if it's private, like at a mall or a supermarket, and you take up 2 spaces. Anything you do that can actually harm another person means you're someone who isn't following the set of etiquettes. You're not applying the basic rules. Maintain good coexistence, so be careful. In this video, I decided to select things that are really important for you to have your first presentation. Create that positive impact wherever you go. Whether it's in your building's elevator, when you meet someone on your street, or in front of your house. All of that will have a major impact. I've already made videos on this channel about social etiquette, which helps us interact better in social settings. I'll leave it here on the side for you to watch next. If you like this content, don't forget to like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be back soon with more videos and more news. See you soon. Thank you very much.